So you thought that your fiction would eventually become a source of income. Uh, Writing is a cheap hobby. Hell, I wrote a couple of books on my phone. You figured that you'd slowly build income novel over novel. You thought maybe you'd sell a short story every now and then for a surprise little influx of cash. There's even a writer out there who says that you should still be able to make a good living publishing short stories in magazines and journals. Doesn't seem possible with only 3 magazines that give pro rates. But all you need to do is take her expensive writing workshop and you can find the secrets. But if she makes such a good living selling short stories, why does she need to sell you a class teaching you how to make a living selling short stories? That's always the mystery with these gurus, isn't it? If you're so successful, why do you need to sell shovels? So, selling shovels is a regular theme in this channel, and what I'm realizing is that not everyone will understand exactly what that means. So, I figured that I'd make this quick little video to clear it up so that you don't think that I've had an aneurysm and am just spouting nonsense before collapsing. So, there's an aphorism: during a gold rush, sell shovels. I researched it, and the origins of this saying aren't really known, like who said it first. Apparently, business schools have a version of this saying that makes it more clear. The first millionaires of the gold rush were not the diggers, but those who sold them the shovels and picks. So, the gold rush that they're talking about is the one that happened in 1848 in the area that would become California. Uh, in 1848, James Marshall in Coloma, California, found a significant amount of gold. This ended up bringing 300,000 people to the soon to be state of California from all around the United States and even around the world. People came across the ocean to hunt for gold in California. This boom in population was so great that it actually allowed in 1850 for California to become an official state. Of course, it also greatly increased the rate of genocide of the indigenous people who lived in the area. If you need more proof about the importance of this event, the magnitude of it, especially in California history, just look at the fact that one of their football teams is the San Francisco 49ers. A 49er is a person who came to California during the peak year for immigration for the gold rush into the state, 1849. Due to the gold rush, in just 6 years, San Francisco went from a population of 2,000 to a population of 36,000 in 6 years. So while all of these suckers were panning for gold, can you imagine how many fortunes were made building roads, houses, schools, churches, saloons, general stores, brothels, farmers making a killing for their crops, ranchers making a killing for their meat, and yes, people getting rich selling shovels. So apparently, the native Californians who were there in 1848 already were able to just pan for gold in rivers and actually come away with a substantial amount of money, more than they would have made doing pretty much anything else. By 1849, people flooding into the state, a few got very wealthy, and the majority left no better off than they were when they arrived. So, in the gold rush of self publishing, I think that I probably arrived in 1848. I was an early adopter of the Kindle direct publishing platform. I was an early buyer of an e reader. I was there before you could give away books on Amazon, before they had the Kindle Unlimited program that allowed you to give away your books for so many days a quarter. And so if you ran a giveaway on another site, you would get hundreds of entrants eager to have something. They'd read it almost immediately. and you could get lots of reviews that way. I was there when Amazon started Kindle Unlimited, and when you ran those free days for your book, the giveaways counted very heavily towards your sales, so it would push them way up, and you could get eyes on your book and then make more sales after your giveaway days. Because of being into the tech so early, I was in a wave of creators who a lot of us found some success, and we helped each other out and amplified each other's voices. And that's pretty much how my soon to be publisher was able to find me. I think it's definitely still possible to get the attention of a publisher by doing really well at self publishing, but it was certainly easier back then. One of my books ended up being the Kindle Daily Deal, and the Kindle Daily Deal was a big enough deal at that time that the book ended up being number 2 in Amazon horror. I couldn't surpass Stephen King's latest at the time, but other than that, I had the top spot. This close to being able to say that I was a number 1 Amazon bestseller. So I was there in the 1848 of the gold rush, and soon enough, seeing this success came the 49ers. Writers rushed into KDP. They started self-publishing on CreateSpace, all hoping for that success that you could get if you were there early. Even today, Hustle Bros will list publishing books as one of the top most lucrative side hustles. Just sign up for their newsletter to find out how. But we writers, the people who actually make the damn thing, became like the gold miners in the gold rush. Entire industries rose up around us with people able to make guaranteed money by charging us to the point where we actually started to lose money on the endeavor. When I talk about shovel sellers in a negative way, I'm talking about the people who are trying to bilk you out of money for things that aren't core to what you really need. These are people who take advantage of your frustration and even your desperation, saying that they have the answer that's going to turn everything around if you just buy their book, buy their course, pay for their service. Technically, shovel sellers include people who are providing actual real value, including artists, cover designers, book layout designers, editors, proofreaders, people who do things that you either can't or don't want to do yourself and that are necessary to the process of publishing. It can still be a little bit frustrating to see all of these groups of people who are able to actually make publishing profitable for them by doing things that are peripheral to the core of the endeavor, which is writing the novels, while you are there at the core of the endeavor, just bleeding cash. But I mean, it's just a fact that there are things that have a higher barrier to entry that fewer people, therefore, know how to do, things that aren't fun, like proofreading, and those things make money. And whether or not you decide to learn these things or to pay someone else, it's somewhat a question of time versus money. I do have arguments that it's good to learn as much of this as possible, at the very least, so you know if somebody's trying to take advantage of you, but that's a topic for a different video. So there are people who are shovel sellers in this gold rush who are providing legitimate value and who I sling no shade at. When I talk about shovel sellers, I'm talking about the predatory, loudest people trying to scam you out of your money. These are the loudest people. They have to be the loudest because what they're providing isn't necessary. In fact, usually not only is it not necessary, but if you follow their advice, you'll end up worse off than before you paid for their book, service, whatever. So they shout, and they increase your worry and they increase your feeling that you're missing out on the success of the gold rush, that it could pass you by. They prey off your insecurity. So let's give an example. You publish your book, you check the stats every 15 minutes to see if anything's sold, and it's just not moving. And then you get an email. And this email says that this person has thousands of eyes on their book reviews, and if you pay them, then they will review your book. Real reviewers are our saints. These are people who love what we do. They let people know about what we do and why they should care. And people believe them because they didn't write the book. That's the difference between when they shout out something great about your novel versus when you shout out that your novel is great. You should give real reviewers a free copy of your book and a ton of thanks, because these people typically go far above and beyond for the same love of the medium that we have, which is usually a curse reserved only for us poor writers. Now, they might get paid by a publication, but any who get paid by the writer are scum. They might not even be readers. They might just be in it for easy cash from desperate people who care too much about what they do. These shovel sellers will send you emails, they will slide into your DMs, they will make a ton of noise in forums, they will be all over social media, they will pretend that they are writers raving about what they do. They will speak so loud and so confidently that they will get other writers to start to believe in the hype. We all know that you have to get attention. We all know that it's harder these days with no gatekeepers to let people know, hey, I'm the real deal. I wrote a really good book. You should check it out. But just because they have identified the problem doesn't mean that they know the solution. Because they tend to not be writers, or maybe to have written one book, they don't know the answer themselves. They can sell you a potential solution, and that potential solution is probably not going to work. It is going to soak up your time. It is going to make you even more miserable and even more vulnerable to more shovel sellers. But what can you do? You need to be on social media for 4 hours a day, promoting your book, trying to find sly ways to insert your book in conversation. So you're going to get exposed to all these people trying to take your money, right? It's inevitable. Well, wrong. In most cases, dead wrong. Sure, mention your book to your friends and family and your fan base that follows you on social media as things happen. You don't need the same blurb on auto repeat posting every other hour. Tell them when you start the book. Tell them when you finish the book. Do a cover art reveal. Let them know when the ebook is available. Let them know when the paper book is available. Show them your proofs. Show them your stack of paper books that you got for yourself and your family. That's a lot of times to genuinely be providing news and things to be excited about to your followers without copy pasting a blurb and blasting it out over and over again until the only people who are still following you are the ones who feel too guilty to unfollow you. Because how many books do you have out anyway? You need a substantial stack of books before your promotional efforts pay off. Otherwise, people read your book and enjoy it, and then that's it. They need to be able to go and buy something else by you immediately. Maybe they don't read it right away, but they grab something because they know that they're going to forget. And if there's nothing there for them to get, they do forget. And then when you do have some follow-ups for people to buy, instead of keeping yourself in a constant state of agitation so that with every free moment all day long, you feel like you need to be watching forums and watching social media for the right chances to insert yourself into conversations about your book in a way that is never sly, I would actually suggest paid ads over that type of promotion. There are other routes that you can go. and I want to cover those in future videos. But if you can't make more sales through ads than you pay for the ads, there's either something wrong with your ads or you're just not in the place yet to be pushing. And if you're not in the place to be pushing, then you need to be spending your time writing. How much money is your time worth? You say that you don't see enough return on the advertisement, but you're willing to spend dozens of hours promoting your book, like draining your soul. You need to respect your time more than that. And also think about what's going to give you the best return on investment. So be your genuine self on social media like once a day. I would suggest reading Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport for guidance on doing this. What he helps you do is look at the right way to fit social media into your life. It's not that he helps you with cutting them out entirely. He helps you put in perspective. Like, we live in a society where if a technology has any advantage, then it's worth integrating into your life, but there's not enough time for all of this. So in this book, he helps you determine, what do you get out of the social media? Is that the best place to get that value? Is it the most efficient way to get that value? And if it is, how do you keep it from taking over your life? Because there are going to be diminishing returns for more time spent on it. So either you drop it, you replace it with something more effective, maybe it might be buying ads, or you use it in the most efficient way possible, maybe taking it off your phone. I really suggest that you keep social media off your phone. It's not just that it makes it easy, it's that whenever you sense the slightest hint of boredom or anxiety, your hand reaches for that phone. It interrupts your thoughts, it interrupts your negative feelings, which doesn't allow you to process them, deal with them, get deeply into things. It takes a while for your hand to stop reaching for your phone. I fully admit that. It is uncomfortable for a little while. But eventually, you can get your normal brain back. And I think that you will find that you can get all of the use out of a social media that you need with it on your computer, using it in a set block of time. Maybe it's to keep up with family and friends. It seems like some things used to be good for that, and anymore people just share memes and funny videos. So writing has always been a place, even before it was a gold rush where you got sent to make easy money, self-publishing, where people could get taken advantage of, because writers care about what they do. And the second you do something that you care about, you've put yourself into a position to be taken advantage of by people who don't care about anything but making money. The issue is amplified by the fact that there is such a low barrier to entry to writing, and it can be so difficult to analyze your own writing and see if it's actually worth anything, that people flood in, get frustrated, don't realize that the problem is them, and think that maybe they can pay their way out of the slump that they're in. These are, again, topics for other videos. I have a lot of things to say, so I hope that you tune in for more. Maybe subscribe. Okay, so I'm advising that you reclaim your time, that you stop interacting with the shovel sellers, you stop annoying your friends and family by continuously shilling your work. Well, why? Like, what are you going to do with that time? If you are deep enough into this, if you have spent years spending all of your free time pushing your book, and some people pushing just one book, you might legitimately wonder this. In Digital Minimalism, Cal goes over a digital detox, and the point of it isn't just to try to kind of reset your brain. It's more to find out, to give yourself a neutral position to find out what you can reintegrate, but also to spend a month figuring out what you actually want to do with your time. And he's not even talking about people who think that it's productive like writers do. You might actually have to work to figure out what to replace your time with, because that dopamine drip from social media, the promise, the anticipation of something happening, because dopamine comes from anticipation, is so high that your brain can need like practically rewiring to be able to focus on the things that are actually going to give you a better life and make you a better writer. First and foremost, if you finished your book and now you're spending your time promoting it until it gets traction before you start dedicating time to writing again, we know what you need to do with your regained free time. You need to write. If you don't write your next book, if you aren't consistently writing your next book, then you are not going to make it. Eventually, you will burn out on the ineffective promotion. You need to be giving the best hours of your day to writing almost every day. If you aren't writing, then you aren't a writer. Okay, well, that one was obvious. What else? We need to read. For some reason, this is not super obvious to some writers, to a lot of writers. You think that you don't have time to read. If you are on social media, you cannot say this. Just because social media is hijacking your brain every time you have a free second doesn't mean that those free seconds don't add up into something. And just because you think that you're only spending a second on social media doesn't mean that you actually are. I would suggest installing an e-reading app on your phone and putting the icon in the place where your thumb is most likely to travel when you have a free second and you just can't deal with the boredom. Honestly, try this. Even if you think that you can't read on your phone, just get one book and try it and see how it works for you. They also make tiny e-readers. Kobo has one. It's just about phone sized. You can put it in your pocket. You can put it wherever you sit your phone. And when your hand goes to snag your phone, hey, it just grabbed an e-reader with an e-ink screen that's easy on the eyes. If you do this, I guarantee that you will find that you have much more reading time than you thought. Read at lunch. Reduce your podcast intake and listen to books on your commute. Listen to books while you exercise. One nice thing about using certain e-reading apps is that you can easily go between audio and visual reading within the same app, which means you never lose your place in your book. It's very convenient. I use FB Reader for this. It's a paid app. I know that there are others that do it. This is a total game changer. It's like that's the sort of tip that you're going to pass over because it doesn't immediately result in wealth. You are in the wrong game if your plan is not a long-term plan. Part of your long-term plan needs to be reading a lot. Podcasts and social media trick your brain by giving you tiny little drips of dopamine as you anticipate useful bits of information. But rarely do they actually deliver. Reading will give you the value of information, of almost an extra life of experience. You get less dopamine, but you have a much deeper result. But social media snags you and makes itself automatic. You have to be self-aware and self-actualized and choose deeper activities. And then besides reading, live. Spend the evening with your family and not just sitting in the same room scrolling videos. You know, talk to them, play games with them, make memories. Living is the shortcut to becoming a good writer. This is why a 60-year-old taking their first creative writing class in continuing education is going to put out a better first short story than an 18-year-old taking their first creative writing class every time. There it is. Now you know what I mean when I say that you need to starve the shovel sellers. Instead, write, read, live. I'm Jay Allen Riker. Keep writing.